the biggest point that I want people to understand with talking about trends is, does it align with the message you're trying to put out?
I love bookkeeping.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the I Love Bookkeeping podcast. My name's Hannah Robinson.
And I'm Melissa Honan.
And thank you for listening. Today, we're going to be following up a little bit with our last episode about content creation. And we are going to be talking about evolving authentically today. And what we mean by that is with marketing, with digital marketing, with social media, it is just trend after trend after trend. And it can be really hard to differentiate between what's a trend and what's a new method that I should be adopting with my marketing, and with my branding. So today we're going to be talking about evolving authentically. So getting better, trying new things, but staying true to your business's core values, and still having quality in your work. Melissa, I feel like I always say you have so much to say about this, but this is something that Melissa and I talk about like on the side every single time we meet.
I just have so many questions though, because what is a trend? Like, how do you know, like, what is the defining, like, how did this become a trend? What is considered a trend? Like, how do I know?
That's like the biggest question. So when I think of trends, I think of something, first of all, I think inauthentic. I think a trend is something that is a flash in the pan that isn't going to last with the current climate or with the changing climate. When you Google the word trend, it says a general direction in which something is developing or changing, a fashion, and that's noun. For verb, it says change or develop in a general direction. But the last definition of trend, a topic be the subject of many posts on social media website within a short period of time.
Okay. So it's something that happens fast.
It's fast, it's sudden, and keyword there is a short period of time. When I think of trends, I kind of think of fashion because I see things kind of come and go. And I'll see, and this is just me personally, when I think of trend, I think of something that a lot of people are wearing, that a lot of young people are wearing. And I think in my head, oh my gosh, you're paying all this money to buy something that is going to be out of style in 6 months. That is what I think of when I think of trend. I think of investing in something that isn't going to be relevant in a short period of time.
Okay, but aren't trends like the devil we know? Like, don't we need to hop on trends? Like, for instance, like Instagram or like TikTok videos, right? Like, trending audio. That's a big thing in business right now. So don't we have to do that to stay relevant?
Well, that's what we're going to talk about right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yes and no. I say when it comes to trends, ask yourself if it aligns with the message that you are trying to put out. Not with your branding. Ask yourself if it aligns with the message that you are trying to put out to your audience. And sometimes it's hard when trends come and go, such as, if we're thinking audio on like Instagram Reels. I think, you have audio that's kind of people talking or lip syncing. And it can be maybe kind of explicit, or it can be kind of more on the edgier side of things you could say or sing. And that might not align with your values. That may not align with your audience. That may not align with your business. The biggest point that I want people to understand with talking about trends is, does it align with the message you're trying to put out? That's my biggest, like I could do a mic drop and we could end this episode here. But on that note,
and we should, but we won't.
But we won't. Ask yourself, does it align with my company's values? And does it align with what I'm trying to put out to my audience?
So how do you do that authentically? Like, is there a way to produce original trending content?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I would say brand it to, and I'm trying to find like the appropriate wording for this for our audience to listen to. I would say brand it to your company's goals. And I will use specific examples because that sounds extremely vague. Something, and I did this recently. So something that I see on social media that is funny is saying today's episode without context, or I see it on Twitter a lot. Like if there's a new episode of, let's say you're watching Euphoria. I love that show. It'll be like today's episode without context. And it'll be like memes or something that's kind of an inside joke that makes people that if they saw that episode, they're kind of in on the joke. So I did this recently on our Instagram page.
I saw that.
I did today's episode without context. If you listen to the episode, you know exactly what we were talking about. But it's something that is kind of trendy, but I made it relevant to what we're trying to convey. And guess what? If you didn't hear the episode, now you want to.
Yeah.
So when you're able to kind of align it with, it's kind of, that's a little bit of a marketing hack when you do something like that, because it makes people, if someone hasn't heard of it, or if they're seeing you do something kind of trendy on your page and they kind of don't know what you're talking about, it piques their interest.
So maybe like pick and choose the trends that you want to be a part of, but like mix it up with original content. So don't just be like all trends. Pick and choose what works for you and mix it in with your original content. One thing that I saw when I was looking, because I was like looking things up on Pinterest, I was like, how the heck do I create content? And it said that, you know, with trending audio specifically, that you don't have to like, if somebody's, you know, lip singing with a dance, you don't necessarily have to lip sync with the dance. You could do completely different original content, but with just that audio in the background. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. That's, I mean, and that's something that's like, it's kind of the sake of using the audio just for clicks. So I guess you have to look at your priorities. If your priorities is clicks and views, then yeah, use it. If your priority is quality leads, I'd say no. Because you're not gonna, I mean, if you think the clicks are going to lead to more clients or more quality leads that are actually going to purchase or follow through, then yeah, I'd say use it. But I mean, I think you kind of have to prioritize what you're looking for and what you want. I know that for us here at bookkeepers.com, something that our audience really likes is more. I've learned that I like to learn more about the audience that we have. And I've learned that our audience really likes to talk about more lifestyle topics. And I mean, and I've heard people say this, you could say that talking about mental health is kind of a trend. But I found that if, you know, it could be a trend. Let's just say that's a trend, but our audience loves it. And so when you find that your audience is receptive to something that's kind of a trend, and I'm not saying that that's kind of a heavy subject. I'm not saying that talking about mental health is a trend. I'm saying talking about mental health openly on social media has become so increasingly popular. That's what I'm saying. I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but it's something that our audience really likes. And so it's something that we make a subject here because mental health is tied in with owning a business, with wanting more of a lifestyle that's catered to your needs. And so that's a topic that, yeah, some people could look at and say it's a trend, but it's something that pertains to what we're doing. And that's what I kind of want people to understand is, does this trend pertain to what you your values are and what the product that you're or service that you're selling.
I think that's a great point.
Yeah. Because it's like, we have so many different aspects, and I like to give examples from my perspective, because I know if you're kind of new to social media marketing, it can be kind of hard to understand, all this kind of lingo. So I like to give examples, but when you're a business owner or when you're running a social media page, there's so many different topics you could talk about. There's so many different aspects of things that you could cover. And when you really, I think the ultimate goal is to find out what your audience wants to see, and mix it up. Don't post about the same thing over and over again. But when you find something that maybe is a trend that is well received by your audience, then it's not really a trend for you. Trends to me are short-lived. For example, I'm trying to think of maybe a trend that I hopped on when I'm like scrolling through our Instagram. Okay, a trend that I will tell you right now. A trend that I hopped on that maybe didn't pan out was introducing. I noticed that a lot of companies like to introduce their employees to their audience. And I thought, yeah, that's kind of like this new age of transparency and who's actually behind it. That didn't pan out because people on social media are creepy. So that's a trend. It didn't work for me. I was like, okay, we don't need random people asking to be Kirsten's sugar daddy. Like that's not it.
It's so funny because I did the same thing, and an industry partner, I did it for bookkeeping for painters. We went to go down that route, and then I was basically told, no one cares. No one cares who you are. That's not like, I was like, well, we could do this or that. And that way, like they see that we're real people, and they were like, they don't care that you're real people.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are trends that, there are trends that you can hop on and that people are like, we don't care. And it's like, okay, well, that was nice.
It's funny because you could see it working for some people, right? But for some people, they will care. For others, it won't. I think a big takeaway from this is don't take it personally, which is always so hard. But again, social media is just an extension of business. It's business. It's not personal. You will do things that are a hit. You will do things that are a fail. Just again, consistency, and just keep it up, because you don't know unless you keep trying. Throw everything at the wall and see what works.
Today's show is brought to you by Keeper, the one app to run your bookkeeping business. Keeper helps you get faster client responses with your own custom branded QuickBooks integrated client portal. Finally, you can say goodbye to those pesky spreadsheets full of uncategorized transactions. Keeper also helps you catch those embarrassing coding errors before your clients do. And with Keeper, you can generate beautiful custom reports that your clients will absolutely love to read. To find out more, go to keeper.app. That's keeper.app. Mention I Love Bookkeeping to get 20% off your first 3 months. Again, go to keeper.app to find out more. Thank you for listening.
So you know what? Another trend and I'm thinking of like things I've done that are cringe, which is like every day. But like a trend that I hopped on a few years ago when this was big was going live. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. No,
I was not on the social media for that, but I can guarantee you I wouldn't have been.
No, I regret everything. You know, the meme of like, this is fine. And it's like fire all around.
Everything's on fire.
Oh my gosh.
That was going wild.
I cannot tell you, like, I would have the worst anxiety about it. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, yeah, a few people found it helpful. But at the end of the day, it wasn't something for our audience because it's not convenient. It's not, not everybody could tune in. And doing live Q&As, oh my gosh, that just made me want to rip my hair out. It caused me so much anxiety.
I literally hate them.
I hate
Because
them.
people still do them on Facebook. They do Facebook lives all the time.
Yes.
And when you click on it, because like a normal person, I click on it and I'm like, oh, I just want to read the comments, right? Like, because that's literally all I do. If I'm looking at a video, I don't even watch the video. I just go straight to the comments.
And then they're like, Melissa's here.
Yeah. And it's like literally just like if it's a live video, then the video pops up and I'm like, oh my God, no, I don't want to actually watch the video. And then you have to watch the comments and live like order coming through. And I'm like, I don't care about any of these. I just want to mindlessly scroll through the comments and get a general consensus of what's happening. I hate lives so much. Don't do them, guys.
Yeah.
We're not watching them.
But that's a great example of a trend that was really big a few years ago that I got sucked into because I wanted to be helpful. And you know, it wasn't super, I felt like it wasn't super helpful. Maybe it helped some people. I don't know. Maybe it helped our like ride or die listeners who were like waiting for me to go live, but anyways.
All right. So you guys tell us, do you want us to go live? I guess is the question.
Absolutely.
We're not allowed to. We're not allowed to.
No, we would absolutely get, we would be fired.
I don't have a contract, but I have a feeling that would be in it if I did.
Yeah. Oh man. But guys, that's just an example of a trend, that we hopped on, and guess what? It didn't work for our audience. It didn't work for us. We don't have to do it. I think something that's really important to keep in mind when you're trying to remain authentic with your branding, with your marketing, with social media, kind of that whole umbrella, is sticking to your core values. And in order to stick to your core values, you have to know your core values.
Oh boy. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do. And that's something that that's something that I had to learn from experience. That's something that we had here at bookkeepers.com, we kind of have our core values of the 3F lifestyle, family, finances, and freedom.
Those are so good. Can we just stop for a second and be like, that is good.
That's good. That's good.
That is good. I think struggled. Yeah, that sounds like a Ben thing. It's
does
like
sound
the
like a Ben
three
thing.
F's. You can remember them easily. Like I struggled with like core values, and that is the catchy stuff you are looking for, guys.
Yeah.
Like that right there. Use that as an example.
Yeah. But I mean, it's something that's one of our core values. And that's something that sticking to your core values and being authentic, they go hand in hand. And that's something that I didn't think about when I first, I don't know if you guys know, I started with the company, feels like 100 years. I think it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, you showed up around the time I did.
Yeah, I think so. And I started off as an intern. I had done social media marketing before, but not heavy. So I had to learn so much. And I think something that's really important is sticking to your values and sticking to the values of what your audience likes to see. And ultimately, our audience knows that the 3F lifestyle is what we're all about. And so when I think of the core values here at bookkeepers.com, and sometimes I even have to kind of go to our website and remind myself what we're all about, so that I can find more content that's better suited to represent us as a company, because ultimately your marketing is a representation of who you are, and it's the message that you're putting out to people. So when you're inauthentic, people can smell it from a mile away. I think people can smell lack of confidence and lack of authenticity from a mile away. And mainly, I don't want to say this, it sounds sexist, but women are better at it because typically women kind of have that intuition of like, you're lying. And I feel like men are maybe a little bit better at being authentic because they don't care. That's what I'm trying to say. But
we're going to get some emails about this episode.
we are definitely going to get some emails about this episode. But I think your audience can tell when you're hopping on something that isn't true to who you are, is what I'm trying to say.
I will say that I disagree with you that you feel like they can, smell a lack of confidence, because I am like the least confident person in the room and nobody ever believes me when I say that. Yes. And I had a prospect for consulting, and she said that she's intimidated by me at first. And she called me a bad bee, like in a good, but like in a good way. And I was like, oh my God. And she's like, you're just so confident, and you just seem like you're just like the boss. And she's like, it's so like just inspiring. And I was like, I am a mess. I don't feel like a boss. I feel like I'm constantly messing things up. Like imposter syndrome does not go away, you guys.
So let me rephrase. I feel like in your marketing, maybe not as a person, but in your marketing, when you're doing something totally inauthentic,
for sure. But I think that you could still get through it. Like if you're not confident in it, I guess like the fake it till you make it works in marketing. I think as long as you do stay authentic, even if you're unsure about it, like if you're like, oh, I'm not sure, but it's you, right? Like it's you and it's your company. You're not sure about it, dude, just do it and get it out there. And I think it's okay if you're not confident in it, because the more you do it, as long as you do stay authentic, the better you'll get.
So an example of something that would be inauthentic for us would be, and if like, for example, our tagline is on our bio on social media is bookkeepers.com educates people to start, grow, and build successful bookkeeping businesses. If I got on our Instagram and started doing TikTok dances about bookkeeping, people would say, what the hell are you doing?
I want you to do it though.
Okay. But maybe a BKX. But I think that wouldn't be something I think that's something that I know our audience, and they would be like, what in the world is this?
What is happening? I will say that I had Daniel do something like that for our automation for painters.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and for those of you guys that don't know, so we do have another company outside of bookkeeping for painters. We do automation. We automate back end for painting businesses. So their sales funnels into onboarding new clients and, like back end tasks, automating it to minimize their like manual data entry. And we're trying to, boost up the social media for that brand. And that's why, Hannah mentioned that, I've been, definitely kicking it up a notch lately, because it's been a big focus. I know how important it is. And it's not free marketing, right? Because our time is not free and our time is valuable, but it's not, investing a lot of actual dollars if you're just putting the time in. So it is a good place for, especially newer businesses, I think, to get traction, because you don't have to at least spend a lot of money. Right. And so for automation for painters, we've been doing a big push into it. And we just decided that although it's not, I guess we're kind of making it the brand where I'm like, you know what, we're going to do all of the silly social media stuff because it's a boring topic, right? Bookkeeping, boring. Back-end tasks, boring. Automation, boring. Nobody understands it. You start trying to explain how to set up Zaps. You don't get it. Like, it's just like, there's not a lot of good ways to market it. Silly, ridiculous things are going to draw the attention, I think. And that's our strategy, but that wouldn't work for bookkeeping for painters, right? Like, we want to be a little bit more serious and a little bit more professional, but for the automation side of things, we found that it was really hard to explain to people what it was, like in a serious manner. And we found that by doing a lot of the trends and like the dances or the posts or whatever, and like modifying them slightly, that has actually really worked for us. But that's the thing, is that we are still modifying them, right? Like, so we're still making them original. So like there was a video where, there was a woman dancing to like one of the popular trending audios, and she was like shaking her hands like back and forth, kind of like, like when you're doing like the twist, everyone can think about that. I could not get Daniel to do that, right? So what he did instead is he like punched instead, like he punched to the side. And so like on our social media, you see him like punching away painters' pain points instead of like, doing the twist. So like,
that's
changing
cute.
it. Yeah. And so that's what I'm really trying to be as creative as possible, to think like, okay, like how can I get trends to work for our brand? But also how can we make them silly? Because I think that what we're dealing with our content is it's really hard, I guess, to draw attention, but also still be educational. So that's what we're focusing on. is doing, they might not think that that's what our audience wants to see, but man, we're throwing everything at the wall. It might not work out in the long term, but we're trying it.
And as long as you remain true to the values of your company and to who you are, I think you're doing a great job.
Yeah, that's the thing. And at the end of the day, for me personally, at least I have a bunch of really silly videos of Daniel to look back on. And
exactly.
That will make me laugh forever.
If you guys have comments, questions, tips, concerns, please shoot us an email at success@ilovebookkeeping.com. Again, that is success@ilovebookkeeping.com. We always love talking to you guys. Thank you so much for listening to the I Love Bookkeeping podcast. My name is Hannah Robinson.
And I'm Melissa Honan.
And thank you for tuning in.
I love bookkeeping. Here's a little shout to all my friends working hard at keeping the books. You want to change your life, you want to grow that biz, it's not as hard as it looks. Be a money guide, a profit coach, step up your game and see